Approved. So Jen's not going to be with us, and then Stephanie. I'd really like her to find a way to join us, but she is in Vietnam, and so my guess is that that's not happening. Mm-hmm. I did tell her to send me an email sometime ahead of time to confirm one way or the other, so I haven't heard from her.
Wow.
And just as she said, what time is it in Vietnam? I said, it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow right now in Vietnam. Yeah. It's January 6th. I don't know how many hours.
Or something.
I don't know if it's in the morning or the afternoon. I don't know. I know this because I sometimes have things with Australians, and it's generally the next day in Australia when we have things. And Anna Maria wrote and said she's going to be 15 minutes late, so we're waiting on Anna.
Okay.
So what I would like to do is say hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the new year. And let's do business, heart of business constellations. Okay? And anyone who has cold feet, I have socks.
Oh. You meant that literally.
Literally cold feet.
She's got socks, special socks.
And so Julie, do it with me. I don't think we've done it together before.
Okie doke.
And Cara and Catherine can go off and do it.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Off with tea. So, why don't you have me start your business first?
Okay.
I have books that we went apart and I started talking about the same kind of shirt. You heard it like that.
It's so funny. Immediately struck me that you are the most eager person I've ever seen. Like, are we going to have donuts next? Are we going to have a puppy? Is there going to be balloons? So that was my first impression.
Okay.
And that was fun.
Oh, good.
And way more, now that I sort of processed that, I have way more attention on you than on myself.
Oh.
That's one way to sort of notice that. Now that I'm not looking at you, I'm noticing there's other stuff to look at.
Aha. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, you are picking up all my thought waves and thought patterns right now. So.
Well, this is the heart of your business. So
yeah.
For what it's worth, it's not you in particular.
Oh, okay.
Right? And although our businesses are often a mirror for us, we do understand that.
Yeah.
And just give me a little bit more time to fill this out for you.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out how to connect you with everything else.
Yes.
So everything else looks lovely. I don't know why I've literally never noticed these gorgeous doors. And the light coming through is kind of fabulous up there. And there's lots of other nice things to look at. And then there's you, and then there's that, and then there's you, and then there's that. And I'm not experiencing you in relationship to what is not you.
Yeah.
It's digital in the sense of you and everything else. Everything else in you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which leaves me
And there was almost.
Just a second, let me complete the thought and then what you're experiencing. Like dislocated.
Yeah.
Am I with you or am I with that? It does feel like it's either I'm with you or I'm with that. It's like you're not in the same, it's not one whole thing,
Okay.
you and everything.
Okay.
So, anyway, so
Okay.
that's for you.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that I didn't say what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I was starting to experience a little bit of frustration
Mhm.
and either wanting to jump in front of you and say, hey, I'm over here, or just shake you
Yeah.
and like, hey, can you,
Yeah,
so it's almost like asking the business
yeah,
to pay attention to me.
that's really interesting. Because, you know, as
Wow.
facilitator watching you, I totally get that. As the business, there's something about that I want to move away from.
Yeah.
Because it feels like giving me a job that's not mine.
Oh, wow.
So the fact,
Okay.
and it really isn't about not having attention on you, this is important. It really is this weird dichotomy. It's like I don't experience you in your environment. It's either I experience the environment and it's really interesting and lovely, or you and you're really interesting and lovely.
Yes.
But it's like, it's almost like I'm looking for someone to say, choose the world or choose Julie. Now, as facilitator, I know it's about that. It's like,
Yes.
it's about that. But I don't experience your environment, you, as in one thing. Yeah?
Okay. This is really.
Sorry, this is very strange,
Wow.
nuanced, sophisticated
This
stuff.
is, yeah, this is
Um,
like nail hitting the head in several
Okay.
directions.
Right.
And what I've been experiencing, because what I keep coming back to,
Uh-huh.
and what I was focusing on over the weekend, was actually paying less attention on the yoga and more attention on promoting the space as a space rental for
Mhm.
other events.
Which like,
was
it's not about that.
It's not
I'm
about
sorry,
that.
it's not about that. And
Well, that's
I'm going to
good.
invite you to not think about what you're thinking about.
Okay.
What's the representation like? What are you experiencing in your role right now as you?
Well,
Are you having
felt
fun? You feel alienated? You're glad? You're unhappy?
whole
Whatever.
mixed bag.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
at
yeah.
first, I was delighting that you were focusing around the room because I felt like you were getting it in my day-to-day experience.
Yeah.
And then I was getting frustrated.
Yeah.
And then I felt like I had to do like this big,
Right.
overwhelming dance
Yeah.
for you to get,
Yeah.
for
Right.
my,
Yeah.
yeah, for me to get your attention, I should
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Like, pay attention to me now.
Right.
And now, you know, I was going off in a completely different thought process, but that,
Yeah, I
So
invite,
now
and
I
this is
don't
something I want to
know.
return to people about, is
Yeah.
to not try and apply your actual, what's going on in the life to these constellations, which tend to be more metaphorical. You get to
okay,
the unconscious of the system a little bit.
okay,
So you guys are already done.
okay,
We haven't even finished the first one.
okay.
So, I want to try something. Stay where you are.
Okay,
You guys are thorough.
And
yeah,
we can skip mine, and maybe during the break, I'll do one with Anna Maria. Can you cover just a moment? I just want to do something. Can you be the heart of the business, take that spot, and you don't need to do anything. So there's something I want you to do. There are
Okay.
2 spots. Take a step back for a moment. This is the spot of Julie not in the world,
okay,
whatever that means, I don't know what that means.
okay,
Separated from, alienated from, not fully inhabiting, I don't know what it is. And
okay,
this is Julie in the world. So do that one first. And now you can step out, I just wanted a space holder for that.
okay,
Yeah, so that's the dichotomy thing,
okay,
okay?
okay.
Okay, what's it like for you?
It actually feels really good.
So step off,
Okay.
step into this one. And I don't want to cry, because I just feel your heat.
Aww.
I like the dark short hair. It is.
Yeah.
I think this is the.
Oh.
I don't know why that came through really strongly. So what's it like for you to be in that spot?
Well, it feels kind of heavier
Yeah.
and kind of
Take your
not in a
hair
good way.
Yeah.
Just
And,
temporary.
I'm kind of taking
You
it
too.
Yeah.
your,
Your hair's straight too.
I'm,
If I cut
yeah, and it's like,
straighter.
So step on off for a moment, step back into this,
wow.
and just say to your business, I can tell that's better for you. Just point
Yeah.
to,
I can tell that that's better for you,
but I've got to be here right now,
but I gotta be here right now.
and that I can respect. But it still is, that dichotomy is still there.
Wow.
Because in a sense there's some part of your safety patterning that's not fully in the low. And maybe that's language.
Okay, okay,
Huh?
all right,
Okay,
all right,
okay,
okay,
that's information for you.
okay,
Off with you.
all right.
I'll do a constellation with you during the break, okay? Anna Maria?
Yes,
Welcome.
thank you.
Glad you're here. Why don't you settle in, put your things down,
Hi.
take
I
your
know.
shoes off.
Thank
She still
you.
got all her stuff here. It's like,
Thank
oh.
you. I know. That's funny. Thank you that you are here. Hi.
If anyone wants an extra one, I finally, after 3 or 4 years of doing constellations here, I finally occurred to me, oh, put the extras out on the table out there. I take home using a scrap paper and stuff. Okay, so for Anna Maria's sake, we'll just say that Jen and Stephanie are not going to be with us today. Okay.
All right.
Stephanie, as expected, in Vietnam, and then Jen actually surprised me when I got the email yesterday and found out she was still wherever she is. I can't remember. Back east, Rhode Island. Providence, I think it is. So I'm just going to close the door. Privacy. And if anyone wants socks, please let me know.
I want one.
Excellent. It makes me feel like I've done something useful.
Good.
So, a little bit of housekeeping, not much. People are, I want to applaud everyone who met me on the free conferencing service. So just to continue to remind you, and wherever you can store this, in your phone,
I'm gonna take pictures of all the sheets.
and post them up, yeah. I mean, they're in various threads on but then you have to go through and find them and everything. So, want to also remind people, over and over again, I am impressed by how much deeper the interactions are when I get a report 24 hours ahead of time. So, if you can do that as well. And I just want to get a sense of house partnering. I know that you have the holidays. Did it happen for people at all? A little bit? So you did with
Stephanie.
Stephanie, great.
Yeah, we had a great call.
Oh, excellent, great. Anyone else managed to pull it off?
We did one.
You did one?
We did two, didn't we? Two. Yeah.
Two?
Yeah.
Okay.
We did. Yeah.
Yeah,
I had Jen and she was not.
Right, she was hard to get a hold of and everything.
No, we communicated, it was not the right space.
Okay, got it, okay. So whoever partners with Catherine has to follow through with her, because she's been a little deprived.
Actually, the last one too, I've been out for
Okay,
about a month.
so whoever is in the,
Partnered with you yet?
Not yet.
Let's
Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
okay, so you'll pull out your phones again during the break. Any other housekeeping logistics that seem important? Or they're whatever. They don't have to seem important, they're whatever they are. No? Excellent, okay. Okay, so then I settle again and I need to get up again. So our main theme today, there are two themes today, but they're interrelated. Which is getting support and connecting with our clients. Okay. The first one has a short lecture in which I reframe support a little bit. But mostly it's about a constellation that I learned from a guy named Bill Mannell. He is a psychotherapist and constellation practitioner in Connecticut. And I was in a workshop of his at the U.S. Constellations Conference in 2011 down in Burlingame that he did on supervision. And I've adapted this to your work with clients. So it's flipping brilliant, and this is something you will take home with you. This is really useful. So that's on the theme specifically of support, and generally, but also while working with clients. Then the other theme is actually new. I've never done this before with any class, but it's related to this, and it's been coming up so strongly in our conversations that I decided to come up with some work around this for you, which is really discerning your ideal client and coming up with marketing that's from their point of view. And so we'll be doing some constellation work on that as well. In some ways, we've got this flipped a little bit today. The support piece has got more of the change work, although this is not like mothers and fathers. It's not quite so change worky. You know,
It's a scientific term.
it's a scientific term. Yeah.
What is the
okay.
name of the person that you had the workshop with?
I'm sorry?
Bill.
Bill?
Bill, or William, he goes by William Mannel, M-A-N, I'll put his name up. He works in private practice, so if you want to do a Skype session with him, that's his name. He is one of the sweetest human beings ever, and he's got natural rapport for those of you who have that frame of reference. He just he has one of those automatic getting into rapport on people's maps thing. That's very special and not all that common. And a bit of a leader in the constellations world. And I kind of adore Bill. He's a sweetie. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is adapt it from him. So first off, why support? This seems like a stupid question. Obviously, we can't do it on our own. You know, I mean, we're social animals. We support other people. We get supported. It's part of what we need to get along. But here's the deal. For those of us who struggle with, quote unquote, getting support, this is the big reframe for everybody in the room. None of us are doing this without support already. Now, I do understand some of us, I'm kind of exceptionally Lone Ranger-ish. But so we, you know, our safety patterning, do it on our own, not get help, not ask for help, all that sort of stuff. But even those of us are getting more help than we're you know, giving credit for to the universe and to our own capacity to reach for help. And reframing a lot of things in our lives as support is actually kind of a big deal, which is kind of what this constellation comes to. So the question is here, what is support? This is an endless list. The obvious ones, of course, friends and family. I mean, these are kind of like the big topic, you know. If you have a spouse, if you have boyfriends, if you have really good friends you get together with. The one that most of us now are very, very used to, but is invisible to everybody else who goes, I'm going through life unsupported, is, of course, the ancestors. So this is one of the things I say to people who have really, and the Bay Area is filled with these folks who had abusive families, and they deliberately left their families, they found a new family, right? And trying to convince them that they actually have ancestors who are supporting them is really tricky business. And partly because they've defined themselves as being separate from all that. And what I say to people is, you wouldn't be breathing if your ancestors weren't in some way sending you life. No, don't get me wrong, that statement doesn't convince people who are dead set against the idea, but that's kind of the direction I'm leading people into. your space and your stuff. I had a really nice moment. I've been making some marketing videos lately, and I did one in my apartment. And when I was all done, I looked at it and I went, my apartment's really pretty. I like my stuff. And it supports me. Having a place that's beautiful, some people talk about feng shui. I don't know anything about feng shui specifically, but I've obviously set up my space in a way that supports me. And if you talk to people who have really, really disordered spaces that they live in, they do experience it as not being supportive for them very well, right? It just doesn't support them as well. But even they, you know, that pile being bigger than that pile, there's there's spirituality, nature, and whatever word you use for source. You can also include in this rituals, music, all that kinds of stuff, right? There's paid support. And I put this, this isn't a very important piece, but notice where I put it is number 5. A lot of people really feel that they don't have support in their lives unless they pay for it. They get a massage practitioner, they get a therapist, they get a coach. But notice all the things that at least there's got to be some elements of in their life. Having said that, for some of us who have a hard time getting help and also may have some scarcity mentality going on, we may resist getting paid for support for certain aspects of our business. And sometimes it turns out it would be so much simpler and so much, in a sense, financially efficient just to pay someone to get something done. Yeah. And that's a matter of discernment when that becomes, oh, when is it time to pay a bookkeeper? When is it time to pay a webmaster? When is it time to pay someone to do a few hours a week of something for me? When is it time to pay someone to clean my apartment? I don't need to worry about that, which is, by the way, one of the least expensive ways in which you can open up some time for yourself. Is just having someone clean your apartment. And yes, do find an ethical cleaning agency in your city. A lot of these women are badly oppressed by those cleaning agencies, so at least find one that's ethical. But still, even then, the good ones, it's not that much money once a month to save you a bunch of time. Now, one that people don't tend to think of, but this is actually the one that was a huge aha to me. Hobbies. Leisure activities, etc. Personal practices of one sort or another, exercise, all this stuff. I'll put exercise down there. My coach right now regularly posts about, now he's entering year 2 of teaching himself how to play the guitar. I had a long conversation this weekend with a fellow retreatant about how she has a tennis coach who she meets with every weekend and how important that is to her. And then the last one, which I don't have room for here, so I'll just stick it on the side here, which I'm going to talk just a little bit more about, is mastermind groups.
Come solo.
Sorry?
How come solo for that one?
How come what for this one?
Solo for that one.
Solo?
So low on the list.
Oh, just because this is probably something that everyone has to create. All of us already have some of this. And you might say, I don't have any paid support. Well, everyone in this room does, de facto.
Hello.
But if you pay an accountant to do your taxes, once I started, someone revealed this to me. I pay PayPal to help me charge clients. I pay an online scheduler to help me schedule my clients. I pay an accountant on my taxes every year. I pay Meetup every year to help me have a context for groups. I pay a domain host to host my website. I mean, once you start take these faceless organizations that you write checks to and include them in here, there's a lot more paid support than we give. You know, I mean, you pay someone to fix your car rather than learning how to do it yourself.
Yeah.
You pay someone else to bring you gasoline rather than go out and drill your own. So, I mean, all of us have this. A lot of us, or maybe even most of us, don't have this. That's the only reason why I put it at the bottom. And this is strictly speaking optional, whereas kind of all these others really aren't. Even the loneliest person has, you know, somebody who's going to remind me to call my sister for her birthday today.
I will.
Thank
I'll
you,
remember.
because it's your birthday tomorrow.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's your birthday tomorrow. So what I want to say about mastermind groups, mastermind group is a group of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, usually not more than that, who gather for some kind of business-related mutual support. Think the guy, was it Dale Carnegie? Was it Napoleon Hill? Who came up with masterminds? I can't remember. It was one of those guys.
Was the OS?
What?
I think it was Napoleon.
It might be Napoleon Hill.
Yeah.
There are just a few really important things. First of all, my experience is the people who have a mastermind group move faster. A successful mastermind group move faster. I just want to name that. I have never personally had a mastermind group. I've tried. I just haven't it's like you can't just marry anybody just because you're lonely. Right? I'm lonely. You're alone. Come with me. We'll be married. Mastermind groups are like that. They really do depend upon chemistry to work. What are some things that really help mastermind groups work? There are two main things, sort of three main things that makes them really important. One is you all need to be more or less at a similar level and moving at similar speeds. If you have someone who's, you know, got a 10-year business and is making $1 million and is growing the business, doubling every year, and, you know, you're just getting started and you have a couple of clients and it's moving kind of slowly, it's a mismatch. And it's going to make everybody cranky. Now, usually the pace difference is not that obvious. It's more subtle than that, but eventually you start to realize, wow, she's kind of not doing anything. Or, geez, he is moving really fast. I kind of feel like a tortoise around him. Right? It creates a stress that's often what makes masterminds not work. It does not matter if you're in similar fields. That really, unless that's important to you personally, is not necessarily important to the mastermind. You can have someone in an aluminum siding business with a massage practitioner. It's fine, as long as you're in a similar place in the business. The other thing is just that chemistry thing, which is harder. You need to kind of like each other and respect each other, and be personality-wise kind of, I will say, similar enough. In NLP, we have meta programs. Having massively different meta programs can make it kind of challenging. You know, if you have someone who's really, really verbal and talks a whole lot, blah, 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 and other people who like to meditate and be quiet, you know, it's just challenging. And this is my own personal learning. My personal experience is that the smaller groups seem to do better. Like, my impression is that 3 is the sweet spot. Because then everybody gets a lot of time, but it's not just two people going back and forth. Although it's fine if you have one person that you can kind of do this with, awesome. Start with that one person. The way to build a mastermind is go, you know, I really like Cara. I really enjoy her. She's kind of at the same level. I would be delighted. Cara, what do you think? You want to do a mastermind with me? That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way. So if you go through your Rolodex in your head right now of all your colleagues and the people you kind of like and you get along with and are at a similar level, and one or two or three kind of really leap out at you, then you really might consider something like this. Beyond that, structure is infinitely varied. I was invited to join a mastermind group that was an hour and a half every Monday. And I just went, this is not going to work for me, folks. I cannot carve out weekly, and I would for longer, less frequently, for me. Mm-hmm. I would like a 2-hour thing that's every other week or every third week, probably. That would probably be the right rhythm for me. Generally, it's on the phone, or although some masterminds are live, they can be. And the structure is usually got some form of check-in, going deeper with one or all of the people on the call, and accountability stuff. This is why masterminds are so useful. So the next time we check in, I intend to get my website up and call 3 friends. Now, if you freak out a little bit about accountability, I really want to reframe accountability for people. Accountability is not showing up and saying, I didn't call the 3 people, and then your mastermind buddies get mad at you. Or you say, I failed. Right? Accountability is coming back and saying, I didn't call the 3 people, and this is why. My life was nutty in the last 2 weeks. My mom got sick, my kids got sick, the dog got sick, and I just couldn't get to it. Or I discovered that I had this block and I don't know why. I thought I was really on board with this stuff, but it turned out I wasn't. Yeah? This is, and accountability is just like all really good plans. Plans are not a straitjacket. There's something to say, I would like to do this, this is what I'm committed to doing, and then when it happens, you clap yourself on the back. When you do more, you really clap yourself on the back, and when you don't do it, you inquire what's going on. How come that didn't happen? Oh, it turns out I really didn't want to do it. Oh, good to know. I was just saying I was going to do that because I felt like I should, or whatever it is. No. So anyway, mastermind groups are, I'll just come back to the main point over and over again. I've seen people for whom it is my impression that if they are in a good group of colleagues who are supportive and creative and mutually engaging and can agree to the norms of the group and how it's structured, they move faster. They just do. Why? Because they're getting more support. They're also getting more input. They're getting more feedback, all that stuff. So any questions about all this? This is fairly straightforward stuff, but it's worth visiting.
I'm in one. I'm in a mastermind group called BizBitches. Since March.
Not every mastermind group has a name, but they do. That's great.
And we're now 4 people. We're 5, and we're 4. And it kind of has phases of, I noticed it has phases of productivity and less productivity. And it's almost like everyone tries to reach towards the person that is the most successful. So it's like if they're just a little, like if they're up here, it's not going to work. They have to be getting something. But if they're like, everyone's always moving towards that person when that person's not there. Like it's interesting. Everybody has a role. Like I'm the organizer leader. So it's pretty much like if I'm sick or something it doesn't happen. But there's interesting energetics of it. What I'm appreciating just from this conversation is we have our form of accountability, but we meet weekly in a cafe, because we all love cafes. It's like our excuse to go to a cafe. But the piece about going back from what we said the week before, we always say what we've accomplished, but we don't actually return to something that we wrote. And so I'm appreciating that, because when I've had like weekly business coaches, you're working with something you created here, so you're always you're always returning to what you said before, so kind of just appreciating the reminder of that piece, not just saying what you did, but going back, really honoring what you said, and even if you didn't do it.
And then getting curious about how it unfolded. Yeah. I didn't do the 3 things, but I did 3 other things that were better, or whatever, whatever it was. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the interesting issue that happens sometimes is we're all in a relationship, is someone will come in relationship drama, and how we how that pulls and takes away.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you can't not ignore it. Like, it's just this interesting.
So it's interesting, on Wisdompreneurs, which is the group I've invited you all to join, there was a really good conversation about masterminds recently. And one guy said, you know what, I make a rule, because I had masterminds that did that. I make a rule, my mastermind is not therapy. It's for business growth. And we don't do that. It doesn't mean someone doesn't say, I'm getting a divorce, I'm really having a hard time, and I'm just not focusing on my business right now, that the group wouldn't say, wow, that's really hard, glad you showed up. But when masterminds become therapy, I mean, that's a choice. The group can decide that's part of what they do. I personally would get frustrated with that in a mastermind. I would want to get that in a different context, personally. Yeah.
But the key is to put that forth in compassion.
Oh, totally. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Get your.
This is not therapy.
Who gives a- who cares that you just got diagnosed with cancer?
There.
Obviously, life intrudes, but my impression from what Catherine's saying is that it frequently goes to that space.
Well, no, there's just one person who's actually brilliant otherwise. It's an interesting dynamic. She's
Yeah.
kind of brilliant otherwise. And so I've been frustrated because I asked the group, and they're like, oh, well, it's her time. She can do what she wants.
Oh,
And I'm
interesting.
like, but it drives me nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why you want to have agreements about the norms. That's all that matters. You know, so how to do that. And that's one of the things that often comes up in a mastermind, is that probably one of the things you want to have as part of the initial agreement is a reevaluation at 6 months or something. How is this working for everybody? Because we're not going to think about everything that could come up.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have occurred to you, wow, I could get frustrated by someone who doesn't use their time to talk about business. So you're not going to work that into the group norms because it didn't occur to you. But at 6 months, you could raise the issue and say, is this I would be interested in a renegotiation around this, but I do understand I'm only one and I could be outvoted and blah, blah, blah. So mastermind groups can be whatever. But it's as in any group process, you've got to have agreements. If you don't, it's just a time suck. That's a drag. Business is already busy enough without feeling obligated to get on a call with 3 people you like, but you're not feeling like the hour and a half is being used productively for yourself. What you say about the successful, I mean, I think that the more that people can step into a mastermind from a place of genuine collegiality and pure, and no one has to be the organizer, no one has to be the successful one, that tends to be the most successful kind of model. Because I think about the quote-unquote successful one, what does she get, you know, like, if she's always being the quote-unquote successful one, you know, does she get to have a bad week, or, you know, so just over and over again, I see masterminds as people who would have been friends otherwise, and who are at a similar level business-wise, and have a really mature, incredibly, emotionally intelligent way of being in relationship with each other. The other way to do mastermind groups, of course, is to pay a facilitator to lead one. My experience is that that's not the most hugely successful experience. I've done that, and I've not been terrible. It's just an arbitrary group of people, and it hasn't worked very well for me. So I don't recommend sucking a lot of money into that sort of thing. Any questions about this? So I have a handout. It's kind of a self-evaluation around this stuff, which I'm going to invite you to just doodle on for a minute. I'm going to go check out the heat. I'm getting cold and I see other people are getting cold. Now let's see what's going on with the heat. And then what I realized about halfway through this presentation is we never did check-in. So do this just for a few minutes and let's include our responses to this handout in our check-in and have our formal check-in. And then we'll do our really cool constellation thing around support. Bill now.
Yay! Yay!
But I want to check out the heat. Now, this is, I assume this is on in order to move the heat around, but instead I think it's just making us cold. So I'm gonna make that go away. And then
Do we have to turn this in?
no.
Okay.
Be great, it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great.
She was saying something
You
earlier
can
about
pass or
that.
fail only.
Yeah. I mean, teasing.
And this is like all of these kinds of things, use them as you want. Some people find these kinds of things, you know, I write these things in and then I throw away the piece of paper and I forget I've ever done it. So just use this in any way that seems useful to you, if it does. And I'll do it too. What the heck? Bless you.
Thank you.
A lot of this gets coded under the title of wellness, which is fine, but I prefer to code it as support. Just a couple more minutes. If you want to spend a lot of time on this, then you can go home. Just hang on this. Okay, start to wrap up. Would really help me on my outlines if I switched the times to 11 to 2 rather than 6 to 9. So I would know what time I'm supposed to get. I'm forgetting to change that.
Details.
Okay, so check-in as usual. Your business highs and lows since last time we met. And by the way, the heat should be starting to come on. Anything you noticed from the constellation, and or anything you noticed from this little bit of work we've done so far. As Julie has given these marvelous.
Thank you. I saw your hands were cold.
I also have gloves if anyone needs gloves. Who would like to share?
I can start.
Excellent.
Well, I was very busy with the holidays and gathering with friends, and so I didn't spend much time for my business, but I did have some interesting interactions with the prospective clients, and I had one more client that came from that. Yeah.
Woohoo!
And then 3 more that are on the thinking about it.
Okay.
So that was very nice, very positive actually. And I think I relate that to the constellation with the mother.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, I think something opened up after that.
Yay.
Yeah. So.
And you have a plan for a follow-up?
A planning for follow-up? Yeah. Well, I'm still working on the client's focus, client focus story. Client
focus story, yeah.
Story, yeah. I did a little bit more yesterday, and it's in my agenda to send it to you tomorrow.
Okay.
So we see it.
Okay, awesome.
Yes, that is, I think is one of the big things right now in front of me. That
Great,
I would like to.
thank you. Excellent. Just want to say a word before I ask you about the constellation or about this handout. When I say about follow-up, whenever I have a interaction with a potential client that seems genuinely fruitful, not just a superficial interaction, but they're genuinely interested, I have a spreadsheet where I put the date, the name, where they came from, and the current status, so that I can, look at that. I don't have to remember in my head, and in 2 or 3 weeks, every once in a while, I'll just go to the spreadsheet and go, oh, she said she was interested, but I haven't heard from her. It's been 3 weeks. She's not going to mind if I shoot her an email and say, do you still have any questions? Are you still interested? That kind of thing.
So what do you put in a spreadsheet?
I just call it follow-up.
And it's just an Excel spreadsheet?
Yeah, I just put it in an Excel spreadsheet, but you can organize it in a Word doc or any way that you like doing it. It seems to be a useful thing to use a table for.
I do a version of that in Google Calendar after each call in the notes. But then it's not in one place. It would just be like a list of the people, and then yours is a little more complicated.
Yeah.
So you put the name, phone number, and notes. That's what you do.
I don't put the phone number. You could. I have that in. Almost most of my connections come through email, so I know where to find them.
That's a good idea.
Let me just for a minute. Open recent. What? turning the computer around too much. But if you want to peek, just come and peek. Anyone who wants to peek for just a second.
Oh, wow.
So it's the name of the person, how they found me, the date they initiated, when did I have a free consult with them, because that's how I usually do it. And then I just code yellow for actually became a sale and purple for very likely.
Okay.
And then, and I'll make a note of said, I don't have the money. Okay, that means I'm not gonna pester them, right? So, but that's just that, what I wanna, I don't invite you, I mean, obviously steal liberally, but I don't share that with you as like the way to do it. Just it was, I mean, I have 1,000,001 different Excel spreadsheets for the different things I create. That's just my way of doing it. Just to track and not forget. I mean, I have an Excel spreadsheets for all of your sessions, you know, so that I know where you're at and who's paid what installments and all that stuff. Because if I didn't have a spreadsheet to track that, I would have no idea. And rule of thumb, only have as much complexity of infrastructure in your business as your business needs.
Okay.
I remember I bought ACT many, many years ago to manage my business, like 15 years ago when I was starting, and it was insane. I mean, it was really fun. I was putting all this too much information. It was like a time suck because it was bigger than it needed to be.
For instance, the average person here does not need QuickBooks yet. Maybe someday. It'll be a really useful thing. And I'm a middle adopter. I get technology and tools when I need them. And not a second earlier. I have a funny feeling, Catherine, you have a bit of the early adopter
I
vibe.
do. I've done QuickBooks for 50. I love QuickBooks.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous piece of software from everything I've heard. Yeah. And instead, I skipped the whole QuickBooks phase and went from spreadsheets to having a bookkeeper. And they use their own software. Okay, so Constellation fee, or your the handout. Anything you just want to share that you noticed that seems important? Oh, and you didn't have a Constellation yet, so we'll get to that.
Yes, I do think, like you said, the hobbies and leisure, I think is missing a little bit in my life. And yeah, that was something that I would like to include. I do, you know, I have lots of going out with friends or dinners and things like this. But I don't know if that fits there. And and then support, of course, I have family, friends, and I wish I had a little bit of financial support to start, or don't know, like to take some. I would like some change work and things like this, you know, sessions.
Okay. So I did not include that, but included with finances is we are supported by our assets generally, right? Income and assets. So income and assets. Would be another form of support. I mean, it's a little bit under your stuff, but it pulls it out just a little bit extra. And again, for most of us here in this room, we have more support there than we give ourselves credit for.
Yeah. And then spirituality and source, I do meditations and I do some walks sometimes. But what I would like more is to spend more time with nature, which I used to do before. And I really, it's very, very good for me, very useful. And I would like to make that a little bit, make space for that.
Okay. Yeah, excellent. So you get to choose the next person.
Julie?
Okay.
Okay, so just a check-in, or,
Business highs and lows
okay.
since the last time we met. And then anything you want to say about the constellation or the support thing?
Well, I feel good. I had asked for some input from you around my website, and you sent me an email with very thorough feedback. And I liked everything you said, but resistance was coming up around implementing. And finally, energetically, I feel like I'm at a point that I can finally move forward on that email. And I started doing that over the weekend.
Oh, good.
So that feels good. And that's, I don't know what to say. I mean,
Well, there's something you're doing with your space differently. You said you're focusing on rentals now.
That's something that I thought about, that maybe that's a direction that I should go in instead of pushing the yoga classes.
Okay.
I did get one new student, and he seems really satisfied, so I think he's going to re-up. And that's, I mean, that my business is sort of is here. It seems to be in the space of neutrality, which is a comfort and a frustration at the same time.
Yeah.
A comfort in that I consistently have been making the same amount of money since I started. And a frustration because I can't seem to break that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So you have one of those ceilings.
Yes.
So I hear two questions in there that I would like you to just bookmark for us to talk about later.
Okay.
One is the space rental versus yoga.
Okay.
And then the other one is if more emphasis on yoga, then what we really want to be talking about is a marketing strategy.
Okay.
How do we get the news out better about what you're doing?
What do you mean space rental? I'm confused. Space rental to teach yoga?
No, space rental, just space rental.
Renting out your
Yes.
space.
Yes. And the conversation I had with Leslie ahead of prior was I have a very fanciful space, and that I happen to do yoga in, is how I see it. So I'm thinking like anything from a knitting group to someone that needs a meeting space to meditation to renting it out for a party, which has happened. We've had 2 birthday parties in the last 3 months. So,
Where are you located again?
right on 3rd Street in San Rafael.
San Rafael.
Yeah.
Right.
By Montecito Shopping Mall. So, yeah, it's a good
If you price it
location.
reasonably, people are always looking for spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry to take your time. I was just like, what are
That's
you talking
fine.
about?
Yeah.
You're a yoga teacher.
And then anything about the constellation or the support piece that you want to share with the group?
Well, I feel like our heart of business was a big aha.
Yeah.
And I'm still reeling from that a little bit. The support, I mean, I kind of don't know what to say.
Okay, well, we'll be doing the constellation soon on this.
Okay,
Okay, good.
okay.
Thank you, Julie. So choose someone else.
Cara.
So, I feel like for a business highlight, I feel, and this was also reflected, I think, in my constellation that I did, is that I've discovered scheduling myself. Thank you. Like, and it really feels like, oh, this is what I need. So scheduling, as we talked about, admin time and scheduling things for my business, because now it's like it feels good that there's a structure that I can actually work on my website instead of that being like on my list. I got to do that. So I feel really great about that, and I did some work with and talking with Stephanie about that when we had our check-in time, and she gave me some suggestions about how she does things, and so that feels really great. So my business seemed very happy about something it was looking towards, and I felt like it was looking at this kind of organized time thing, because I feel like in my life, like the rhythm of my day is not predictable. You know, I was staying home with my kids for so long, and I remember finding that really hard to know what to do with my time and how to schedule it. So that feels good. Lows for my business, I mean, it's been slow because I've been on vacation, which has been really nice. But I had a client who hadn't seen me in a while call me, and she was really sick, and I felt like I needed to go into work on my vacation day. I agreed to, and then something came up where she had to go to the doctor, and then I agreed to be on call for her. And afterwards, I'm like, what? Why did I do that?
Isn't that interesting how we do that?
And she was so desperate and like, God, like she's this Russian woman, and they're very emotional, like, and so I felt like I have to help this person. And then she ended up not coming, which I was hoping would happen, like that she'd be too tired out from her doctor visit. So it was just interesting to think like maybe I need to do some work on how available to be. So that was interesting, kind of a low, but not too low.
Spectacular learning. Really good learning.
Yeah, and I'm really glad she didn't come in because I was having a great shopping experience at REI. I was literally in the dressing room. Oh, you can't come. Okay, and then I rebooked her for my work week. So I'm going to see her, but
Yeah.
And then support. I mean, going through the support sheet, I feel like I've got a lot of really nice support in my life, and I feel very grateful for that. Something I'd like more of is arts, because I feel like I've got gardening, and that really makes me feel grounded and good to work with the earth. But I used to be an artist, and I used to do art and study art, and I would like to have some kind of actual physical arts.
Cool. Excellent.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So that's me. And Catherine.
I definitely feel like the holidays took over in terms of working on my counseling business.
And you got sick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody was sick. It's like, the counseling business, I don't think much happened. The art business, I made a lot of shirts over the holidays. I sold a bunch of shirts over the holidays. I did 2 photo shoots, processed all the pictures, and started working on inventory for Etsy shop. That was good. And researching Etsy shop. So most of my energy has been in the fun area and my constellation. The art business is fun and freedom was actually the word she used, which is a word that when I was working with Leslie.
Oh, right.
Art business, freedom. So that was that resonance.
Wow.
I had some financial wake-ups over the holidays, and still need to be trying to sort it out.
Just while I'm thinking about it, Catherine, did you get my email about that? With the stuff from the Heart of Business?
Actually, the hippie marketing person.
No, there was something afterwards.
About debt.
About debt, yeah.
I read a bunch of what you sent. I'm not sure if I'm not remembering in the
Okay.
section. But the thing about organizing and clearing out, was that part of that?
No, that was the in the meantime stuff, the Tad Hargrave stuff. Yeah, there was I just think that there's a little bit that Heart of Business does around appreciating debt. that is a useful reframe.
Okay.
So you can either look for that. If you don't find it, let me know. I'll send it to you
Yeah,
again.
no, I have it. I think I have it. I just haven't looked at it, but I did start kind of clearing out my office space yesterday and recognizing that I have an immense amount of clutter, and I definitely am really sensitive to my space. And when it's in order, even when it's in order, there's too much stuff. And so I'm just kind of aware of like strongly get rid of stuff, but then there's valuable stuff. Do I sell it or just give it away? And I'm like, I can't make this decision, give it away or sell it. I think I was looking at hobbies and seeing like how I spend too much time with my photography hobby, and it's like use it as a form of distraction, like hours and hours of processing photos for holiday albums with friends, community, like quarts of my time goes there. So I just kind of committed to friends, like, don't let me do that. Don't give me. Don't ask me for my camera. Don't even ask it of me. And if you see me doing it, tell me to stop. So unless you pay me, unless somebody pays me.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Because I really put a lot of energy into cameras. A lot.
What you're noticing that's really interesting is ways in which some of these things can be not supportive.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really, I didn't really pick up on that, but that's really useful. Thank
Too
you.
much hobby as a form of distraction from things that are frustrating or have other like energy in them that are too easy to go. Like,
well, it's like a friend who's supportive, but if they're constantly calling us every time they're having a crisis when I need to be doing my work, that's not going to feel so supportive, et cetera, et cetera. So all of these probably have a shadow side.
yeah, and I just love like any excuse to help somewhere else. It's like my distraction. It's like, oh, you need photos to keep your loft going to prove this. Let me look through my database for the last 8 years and help you.
Ooh. Okay, so that's something I invite you to ask. What is the safety patterning there? That's really interesting. I'll leave it as a question, but you might want to write that down.
I see it as a 2 thing, the Enneagram 2 caretaking thing.
Yeah, but whenever something is like, to the point of not being good for us, then there's some safety patterning. What's the IPO of being that compelled? It's interesting. The first meeting of my new coaching group that I belong to, because the theme had come up, was overwork and workaholism. And we've talked about this here. It can be a numbing thing. It can be fill it with one thing so that I don't look at this other thing or experience or feel this other thing. So for me, been very excited about getting these marketing videos up. I should share them with you. My coach thinks it's a really good medium for me, and I think I'm channeling my my inner preacher. I was a very good preacher, and I don't do it much anymore. So that was nice, and I went on this retreat, and that was amazing. And started my new coaching group and other stuff I can't think of. The big challenge right now is that, and I said last time I needed to do this, but I can't figure out how to do this, so I may ask for somebody's help around this at some point. But I need to figure out how to balance this being director of the conference with my business. I don't think I'm balancing it very well. Funny of what you said, I rescheduled a client in order to schedule a meeting for the steering committee. And about an hour later I went, you idiot! This comes first! Before the volunteering thing! Good learning. It was just a really good learning. But I've had some of that, like being, changing things and adjusting things and then going in hindsight, oh, what? And And there's a member of the steering committee who's got an extremely intense fight-flight thing. And he's just, I'm finding him really a lot of emotional effort. God bless him, I think he's entangled with his Jewish ancestors, and his job is to fight the Nazis. So whenever anyone makes a mistake or he disagrees with somebody, there's something that must be done here. It gets very difficult. So we just had a whole nother round of this, and I'm not quite sure what to do about it because he's starting to metastasize a little bit. I thought it was localized, and it isn't. So
Sounds like a horrible metaphor.
yeah,
Yes.
sorry. Well, you know how it is. Fight, flight is contagious.
Yeah.
Once the herd gets spooked. And it's last night I was doing a little sort of meditative constellation on it, and figured out a place where it did not generate quite so much emotional attention on my part. Like, oh, okay, this is going on, rather than, oh, this is going on. You know, right? The first one doesn't require a lot of energy. The second one requires a great deal of energy. Right? I mean, we all know that shift when we can do it. It feels so much better. Oh, this is going on. Okay. That's some of what's going on for me. Where are we at? We're at 12:15.
Pee break, please.
Pee break, okay.
Yes.
We'll take a brief break as possible. I think the room is I think I've just finally started noticing some heat. I'm going to walk over there and see if moving over there makes a difference. If not, I may ask them if they have a space heater, because I think it's getting chilly on this side. I think by the time we leave, it'll finally be warm. Oh, and partnering scheduling. Okay. And then once I've done those couple of little items, Anna Maria, we can do a little heart of business constellation. So let me just be over here a little while.
When is our next meeting? I feel like it's farther away, right? Is it 3 weeks from today? Let's see.
Sweaters you can put on. So, yeah, this corner, or I have, how about, do I have the floor extension cord here?
I can get you another extension.
Oh, I have another extension cord, actually, it's just we have two things in that outlet right now.
Well, it's the same circuit. That doesn't matter, but let me I got a heavy duty one, right? No. Those are worthless. Sorry, judgmental statement. They're not too close.
That's all right, I've just had my cords for an extremely long time. It's true, you start to pull them out and you go, you know what, this extension cord might be retirable.
It looks-
I think it's been around 50 years.
When it looks too old school, you know.
I actually pulled out, oddly enough, I pulled out my sewing machine for the first time.
Oh.
I can't remember,
Wow.
just to do some seams and stuff like that. And I looked at it and I thought, ooh, the cords on this thing are pretty old.
Pretty old.
To be to code in a commercial building.
Right. Yeah.
This is what we find.
Excellent.
Now, this thing, if you pick it up, it'll make a noise.
Oh, okay,
So-
good.
But anyway, wherever you aim it, it'll warm you up.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's all right, I'm glad I
Oh,
asked.
this helped, this was on for a reason too. This helps move the heater.
Right, it was right behind people and I
Just
just.
put it over there.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a big key to helping you heat the place. This thing up.
And I have over your fingers gloves if you need them.
Oh, I know. They leave the
But
tip.
this should make it better pretty
This
fast.
is perfect. I'm loving these gloves, thank you.
That's nice.
Oh
I'm
my
glad you
God.
are wearing it.
Yeah, I like that they go all the way
I'm
up
gonna
to
stick
the
my
elbow.
feet here.
Right? That's
Me too.
really
My friend
cool.
gave those to me last year.
Huh.
My feet have got now. Ice cubey.
Oh,
I have to put my shoes on. But the boots are thin soled, so I don't know if they'll actually improve anything. The rest of me is basically fine. My feet are a little chilled. Can I
Oh,
put
those
these
are
on with
cute.
3 pairs of socks?
Those are really cute.
The boots?
Yeah,
They are cute.
I like that big buckle. They have a piratey essence
Well,
to them.
you can have this, you know, this,
Arg.
this zipper in the back that really doesn't do anything.
Ah.
But, you know, you can have it all the way up or partway down.
Oh, you could even fold them.
I know,
would-
yeah,
would
yeah.
imagine that zipper's
Yeah.
designed for you to make a cuff.
For some fancy folding. For some
Yes.
See that?
swashbuckling.
But it has the thing here, I mean, why would you do that?
Oh, that,
Oh,
whoa,
That
I'm
was
incorrect.
not planned.
I am incorrect.
Yeah.
Then
I think it's
just
if you got
the
fat
zipper.
calves.
Ah. Ah. Oh, I resemble that
Oops,
remark.
where'd Anna Maria go? I said I would do a hard business thing with her, but she's gone. Oh, well. I'll have to do it afterwards.
I love boots, but most boots I can't get over ankles and calves. So I usually have short boots.
Mm-hmm.
So, what we're gonna do is take a quarter of these and pass them on. You're gonna need a lot of cards for this. I have a bunch more of these.
I don't know if that's a quarter. There you go.
We need a bunch, huh?
Yeah, I may have taken them all. Or taken most.
Okay, Anna Maria, let's do yours real quick.
All right. Heat dish.
Ooh, look at that. I can feel it already. I just need to feel it with my toes.
Oh.
You know what I wanna do with you?
Um,
I wanna go out and get a beer.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know why, it's just like it felt really personable and I wanted to put my hands in my pockets. I mean, that's partly why our hands being so cold, but, I'm gonna do something, okay? It involves touching you, okay? Look here. Huh? I want us to go places. That's kind of the feeling. Feels very personable. We should sit at a bar and get a good beer. What's your experience in your role? This is being like this.
I feel like I like it, I'm just wondering, you know, why, I mean, just trying to understand why it comes. Maybe it is, I don't know, be,
So just
I
have
mean-
the experience, don't try to interpret it too much, just have. I mean, are you like, does this actually make you nervous, or does it feel weird, or?
I think for me it's just like, let's go.
And that feels okay? Does that feel good to you?
Yes, it feels good. And but at the same time, it's like about work.
Wow. See, as facilitator, I'm noticing there's a questioning going on about this.
Yeah.
What about work? That's really interesting.
I mean, there was.
Facilitator agrees that's a really good question. This one's response is.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one's reaction is why are you making such a big distinction between work and play? Thinking can be more fun than doing. Who says
Actually,
drinking
looks like I'm
beer
getting
is
some.
Who says? So I was really checking, is it like this one is not serious, which is possible? That's not what it feels like. It feels like it doesn't have the work really distinction.
And I received this.
Be there, and I will go ahead
The day I
and call
called
you
you.
and let you know that.
So what is your experience as the business says, I don't feel like there should be a difference? Who says drinking beer is a work? What's your experience?
I don't know, my role is like, I am looking for a place to focus on, and I cannot find it, and then go to here, like,
Yeah, okay. It's really interesting. Because again, as facilitator, I can feel the anxiety this creates for you. That if it feels too much like play, then you won't get anything done.
Probably not.
so that's what I think, I'm playing about.
So I guess as facilitator, asking, what if the serious work business felt more like that? In addition to the other stuff that is officially play, you understand?
I'm responding to the
So it's just more of a question, that's sort of what you work from a facilitator.
Good luck. Good luck with that. You had to say that, didn't
It's
you?
serious. And
Actually,
you
I
let this
think
play full or run or something.
you did remind me to turn my phone on to silent, so if I do get a call, it doesn't.
So here's my, I'm gonna step out of this, step in the facilitator. My question is some reason why you're not moving
Yeah,
forward
well,
with
let's
this is
hope they are a little more
some part of you feels it as not
Yeah.
fun,
It's
and
fine.
that's
Okay,
your-
someone else
that
can
runs
sit
against
in the
serious.
addition.
I'll make myself.
You warmed up now?
I warmed up
But
now.
another part, which is a little more visible to you, is, okay, okay? And to step back into business and say, I want to speak to both parts. The part that wants to do something serious, that's committed and important, and the part that's like, it actually can be fun. I want to, I see, both parts. Okay? Okay? Excellent. Let's come back together, folks. One little warning for everybody. This is something I've been noticing in doing the Heart of Business constellations with y'all. Is that, and this is typical, we do understand this, a temptation to move really quickly to interpretation of what it is that's going on in the constellation. The constellation field is symbolic and metaphorical. Way back when I was 20, I was in a course on Carl Jung, who warned us, do not literalize the images. You have a dream about having sex with your brother, it doesn't necessarily mean you want sex with your brother, right?
Mhm.
What's the meaning of this?
Mm.
And when I'm being the heart of your business, I'm often kind of facilitating too. I have my facilitator hat on. And often in response to whatever I say is the heart of the business, someone says, yeah, because this weekend I blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what are you experiencing in your role right now? How are you reacting to what the business is saying? How does it feel to be right here, right now? What are you inclined to do? You are representing as well. Yeah? And then afterwards, we can do some reflection on the meaning of this. But what I find over and over and over again is that the heart of your business constellations reveal what? The unconscious of the system between you and your business, aka the invisible bits, aka the stuff that you are not already aware about. Or only a little aware of or partly aware of. Yeah? And this was true of the two that one I had with Julie and the one. Both of you were kind of quick to come up with like how this fit and how you understood what was going on in your business. I said, slow down. What are you experiencing right now? And that gave us a lot more information, right? So this is, again, the learning about doing these heart of business constellations. Okay. Speaking of constellations, the amazing Bill Metal constellation around. So everybody's got a pile of cards, yes?
Mhm.
And just count how many you got. Generally, you should have all gotten a quarter of these cards. Minimal 10. If you don't have 10, tell me. If you have 20, awesome. Somewhere between 10 and 20 is what you need.
8.
Someone, Ralphed all the cards. Remember when you were a kid? Stop Ralphing. You guys didn't have that one? I'm smoking. Stop Ralphing, the dope man.
Oh, it was Bogart.
I thought it was
Or
Bogart.
Or Ralph. Bogart's buddy.
Bogart, yeah.
Where is Ralph from? I've never heard that.
I've never heard that either.
So how many does everyone have?
12.
12, 13,
14.
14,
12.
12. Okay, so just give one to one of those guys. Okay, and if you need more, we'll get more. 12 is a good minimum. Okay, so here's the way it's going to be. And again, usually I do constellations from the ceiling down on your heads. Okay, so you're going to be doing this by yourself. Okay, so the way you're going to start is this is you, your nose facing in this direction, top of your head. You're going to start out with just a card that you can designate. You don't have to write it. It doesn't matter. Just client. Okay? Say you and the client. And just notice how that feels. I really want you to take a moment, represent yourself in this, and notice how it feels. And you can put a chair near you, put the other cards down, just let yourself stand empty-handed, and notice I'm freaked out, I'm scared, I feel really cozy, I feel really good, I'm angry, whatever your feelings are, or what your feelings are. I'm feeling out on a limb, I'm feeling like I don't know what I'm doing, whatever your experience is. You don't want to change anything. This is really just note what's going on. Then what you're going to do is kind of using your worksheet or what's in your head, you're going to start placing cards. Again, you don't need to write anything, but you're just going to start placing cards, and you're going to designate this is my ancestors, okay? And put it, and in the end, you're going to do these one at a time. Do it kind of slowly.
You mean do
So-
one and feel it, do another one and feel it?
Yeah, so let's just imagine for a moment. I'm going to do this a little bit in front of the screen, but so this is the client, this is me, and I go, this is my ancestors. And then go, oh God, this suddenly feels better. Thank God, and notice how it's different. This is my kitty. I didn't put pets on there, but pets are very important.
Ah, nice.
Oh, wow. Not a big change, but I feel so much friendlier. You know, something changes, you know? My racquetball practice. I'm making stuff up, obviously. You know, actually, I got some energy there. I was feeling really slow, you know, whatever you notice. And then until you just kind of have a semicircle of stuff around you, just pause on each one. Yeah? Okay?
Like you can put the meditation you do? Or...
Yeah. Anything that was on your sheet or anything else you think of. Yeah? Just put them down one by one, checking how it changes. Okay? Then start doing it for your client. Right? So my client's ancestors.
Oh.
Oh my God, it's not all up to me. I hadn't noticed. Oh, wow. Huh. Source, or none. These actually have things written on them from last night. Source, divinity, the universe. Wow, that even feels better. And then what you have to do is, this is a generic, so please don't come up with things that not everybody has. Kind of important. So don't say they're kitty, right?
But if they have cats, we can...
No. This is a generic client.
Oh,
It's
I
not
didn't
a-
add it.
It's not a
Yeah,
specific
sorry.
client. It's the ideal client. It's the platonic form client.
Yeah.
Yeah? So you want to keep these all kind of generic. Everyone's got ancestors. Everyone's got source. There are usually some meaningful people of some sort in their lives, you know? The place they live, whatever. Yeah? Okay? And then stop. Then I've got one more step I want you to do, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of context. Okay? So off with ye. I will help you. I will time you just a little bit, but mostly this is self-led.
This is just our ideal client just has 3.
Oh, no. I just stopped with 3. So when you're done, it'll be also kind of like this. Okay? So you got your circle of support, and they have their half circle of support. Okay? So again, start out with just you and the client. Please notice how that feels to you. So that you have, in a sense, a baseline, right? And here you go, Catherine, I found one more. And I have more cards if anyone wants to put 6 or 7 down. And I personally recommend doing this standing. I notice a lot of people on the floor. But if you're feeling really strongly that sitting somehow is the right way to do it, by all means, take care of your own needs. You do kind of automatically make yourself small when you're on the ground. That's kind of a Bert Hellinger noticing. Ideally, when we meet a client, we want to meet them in the dignity of our mutual adulthood, right? Unless they're a child. Just notice what your system perceives about client. Not a client, not a specific person, but client. Once you've got that bookmarked, start adding in your sources of support. And I want everyone to include ancestors. That's really important. So the rest of them are optional, but make sure you at least include ancestors. Most of you will include some version of source, universe, God, divinity, whatever you like to call that. Actually, Julie, I'm going to invite you to pick that one up, that last one up. And just finish yourself first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then once you're done with yourself, start adding in with your client. So just notice what it's like when you're super supported. But your client's on their own, in a sense. That's how we have it set up in the system. We started out with you on your own and the client on your own, right? Which, by the way, is the way a lot of us are doing this. Notice which forms of support seem to have the biggest effect, or different effects. And Julie, I'm going to ask you to do those one at a time, okay? Just so you can know the difference. And when you get to the point, Julie's there, of adding support to the client, when you get to that point, well, notice that you're not actually adding support into their system. They've already got it. That's not what we're playing with here. We're playing with whether your system is aware that your client has support. What it is like to update your system on the fact that all of your clients have support. That you're not actually like this person's savior, which is probably what Kara kind of ran into for a moment with the Russian client. I need to sacrifice everything right now. Instead of going, you know what, I think she has more help in the world than she thinks. Right? I'm a very powerful acupuncturist, but I am just an acupuncturist. That's it. That's what I am. It's like to say I'm a yoga teacher or an NLP practitioner is to say I am a totally amazing, powerful, wowie kind of yoga teacher, and at the same time to say with humility, I'm just a yoga teacher. Both at the same time.
If one is not very supportive, I can take it out.
If it's a genuine support in your life, leave it there, and we'll just notice that it's not the biggest effect on you. If it's feeling non-supportive,
Yes,
what's the element?
I feel like weak.
Well, I'm sorry, what's the actual thing?
I put a friend, but that's
Yeah, I would bow to her first, say thank you for your friendship, but right now this doesn't feel like support. And invite her to withdraw just from this constellation. With total respect for what is important about this friendship, right? And then you can take it out. We don't want to just boot things out, right?
Yeah.
And most of you are still in process, but if you're feeling like you're at the finish of what it is that I instructed you to do, then there is one more thing I want you to do, which is to put in an extra kind of joker card for yourself, which is the support you don't have yet and don't know how to ask for, but is in your future. And if you need an extra card, I have plenty of cards.
Thank you. After we finish the client.
Yeah, at the very end, very, very, very end.
Okay.
And then when you've done that and adjusted to that and feel what that's like to have the support that you don't know how to ask for yet and is in your future and therefore is part of your system, right? Future things are in your system. You don't need to, you just feel what it's like. You probably won't know what that is. That's fine. And then when you've felt into that, add a similar one for your client.
I need another card.
Uh-huh. And then if people are like, I don't have enough cards, I'm going to add in my kitty and the trees and my hiking and the friend I had when I was 8 who was really important to me but isn't here now, and whatever. For some of you, it'll be important to include, I didn't mention this before, but your modality lineages. Modality lineages, so Bandler and Grinder. Carl, any literal teachers, if you want to include them. Or you can just put a card that says the lineage. Not everybody wants to add that, but, you know. And then, what I invite you to notice what it's like when you're done, and I'm only saying this because some people are more at the concluding end and some of you are more in process, that's fine. Where you all are right now is just fine. At the end is please just notice what it is like to either engage a potential client or someone you're actually going to serve, so you're going into an actual session or class or something like that, with this in you, in a sense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyone else need more cards? Let me know.
I put down a card that I can look at from trying to remember which one.
Oh, I think the constellation will take care of that.
That was my question.
What's the question about it?
It's like, I just wanted to pick up one of the cards that I could support.
So again, do the same thing that I invited her to do with her friend, which is instead of sort of take up and throw it away, put it back down, bow to it in gratitude for whatever role it has or does play in your life that matters, and then invite it to withdraw from this particular context.
She was a future support. That was specific.
What was your reaction?
At first, it felt kind of interesting, like I was falling forward, moving towards my plan. It was really ungrounded. Interesting. Now I'm missing grounded, and I was pretty excited about wanting to go down. It's like,
All right. So just actually sit with it for another second. Just feel it for a second. See if it evolves a little bit more.
you know, I like the forward motion, but it
Right.
felt very.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful.
So, were you more half a step back before? So actually,
Actually, no, I think I was about here.
okay. So that's your present spot. Can you take like just half an inch step forward, just a teensy bit? That's your future self who has that support. Is she actually ready for it? I'm just wondering if it's something you're not ready for now, right? Okay, so just take your future self who knows how to integrate that back into your present self. And give that to her. That's something, don't worry about it, you don't have to worry about now, but it's coming and you're gonna get to have this. Does that feel better?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's timeline work, I wanna do that with you guys as well. Anyone else need cards? And if you're feeling done, by all means, I have no more instructions for you. Sit down and write a little bit about what you've noticed about specific support or anything else. And yes, you can respectfully pick up the cards, and I'm happy to take them. And the rest of you would just make sure you wrap it up within the next 2-3 minutes. Want some nuts?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Just take the whole thing over there.
Oh, thank you.
Because this goes over lunchtime, even if I eat beforehand, it's like this is the hour when a little bit of blood sugar starts to drop a little bit better. They're plain. I love the plain, the taste of plain. Oh, that's easy. Excellent, thank you. So get your last thoughts on paper here. And if there's something you want to write later, just write a few words so you know what it is that you want to write later. Oh, and I moved this a little bit to capture some of the action. I don't know if it needs to be moved again. And let's gather on back together. Again, if there's something you want to write down later, just see if you can come up with a few bullet points that lets you know what it is that you want to write down later.
I really like your outfit. The whole outfit. The jacket,
Catherine's
the
outfit is
socks, the
all
leg
times
warmers.
is,
That skirt is so creative.
her look is so fabulous.
I'm afraid a secret hidden thing about this skirt. The zipper broke.
Oh,
Oh, but it
Even your
looks cool.
safety pins are cool.
So I-
Yeah.
Yes, the way you did is very good. It fits with the skirt.
nicely done.
So just a few extra words I want to say about this, and then people can report in a little bit about what you noticed about that. The context was a workshop on supervision, and supervision in therapy is about being a practitioner and having someone who you go to with your issues or your troublesome clients. It's actually an ethical and professional requirement of psychotherapists that they be getting supervision, a certain amount of supervision. In practice, what supervision is, this client's driving me nuts, I don't know what's going on, and then you talk it out and realize he's just like your father, and that, blah, blah, blah. So what he was doing Bill, what he was doing were supervision constellations. Isn't that genius? So I'm having trouble with a client, let's set up a constellation of the relationship between me and the client and what's going on. Or I'm stuck, or I don't know what to do with him, or whatever it is. And I got the benefit of a more generic one, which is where I got the idea for this. We saw one in which it was genuinely like he was having trouble getting a client paying, and it turned out that there was this weird imbalance of giving and taking in the relationship that the practitioner had not been attending to very well. And that all came out in the constellation. But what I got was just a generic me and a client, and then he started putting in representatives for support. And I went, Gabongas. It was just kind of practice changing. I've become convinced that most of us systemically have the unconscious impression that the client and ourselves come into this interaction solo. So you got to do everything for the client. The client doesn't have any inherent support, and you kind of have to bootstrap yourself at all times in the interaction, right? Wow. Just notice what it was like when you first stepped into it with just you and the client. And then what shifted as you brought in the actual support that's actually in your life. So the issue isn't including that support because it's there, it's systemically including it, which is what we just did. And if you're feeling like you need booster shots, you can always take these cards. You've got a free consultation with a client. They can't see you. You're on the phone with your ancestors behind you, with your best friend, your kitty, nature, source, and get on the phone.
Oh, nice.
Then you don't even need to think about it, and it's just present to you. Meanwhile, around your phone, you can put some cards around the phone or something so that your system, your unconscious, is presupposing that your client's supported, which is going to lead to a much more respectful, dignified, and adult interaction, free of some of the other crap that comes into play around the dance of practitioner and potential client. You can also do it in session or have it in your pocket. But at a certain point, the idea is this kind of thing just internalizes it, so it's just kind of there. So we did change work, right? So this is the context for this. And I actually find this to be extremely important for those of you who find yourself frustrated or having a hard time in free constellations, weird anxiety, not sure how to do it right, or whatever the initiating process is for clients. Probably feeling like you're in on your own is one of the things that's fueling the experience. Okay. So, a bit of sharing before we do the last thing, which is also a client-centered thing. What was that like? What was the difference? Are you like, I don't get why Leslie's so excited about this? What's your experience? Catherine, you went last on the check-in.
Okay. Well, I actually felt like really good at the start with no support and just with the ideal client.
There's a little bit of safety patterning.
Just a little. And especially when I, created it as an ideal client, that made a huge difference.
Okay.
I could feel into that and feel really good. Put my partners, one and the other, and that started getting shaky.
Interesting.
Put my loft in, and I got really dizzy.
Wow.
Put my business bitches group in that sharpened me up.
So we ran into ecology about support.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then as I placed Ancestor and Meaningful People with my client, when I placed Source third, I started to wonder if I was needed. And I got insecure.
Oh,
Wow.
Right? They need can't be too sourced up or, like, okay. I didn't put Source behind me. I never did that. I chose a bunch of other things. So interesting that I put Source behind them. And then I placed one that I thought would be really, really helpful, like for the future, which was really specific, and it kind of propelled me forward towards my client. Like, and I thought, oh, this is good. I'm moving towards him, except I feel like I'm going to fall on them. So as I was about to snatch it up, Leslie had me shift that to actually just step into my future self, where that's integrated. That was useful.
You might need to recheck in. Was the future self more integrated about having support generally?
I don't know. It was really specific, just to like, okay, I'm not feeling like I'm going to fall forward dizzy on my face anymore. It was just that.
Okay.
It was like, oh, okay, things are like, it was really just like, okay, that's a little better.
Yeah. Which is interesting, what we just stumbled on, and my apologies for those of you who haven't been through this process, we just stumbled on some programmer stance stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Some what?
Programmer stance, and I've talked about this a little bit in the past around marketing. The notion of, in my marketing, I don't need to protect myself from anything, and I don't need to protect my potential client from me. We are inherently safe for each other. And so in practitioner stance, this is just a presupposition, you don't have to agree with this, but the idea is that the best stance is presupposing the okayness of both of us. Yeah? And that I'm bringing something that, yes, they need, but not in the sense of salvation or to be okay. When we're in the role of, in order for us to be okay, we have to make them okay. That tends to get in the way of all sorts of stuff. Yeah. We're not going to do practitioner stance stuff here because we're all such different practitioners. So it wouldn't be necessarily relevant, but it's something we could bring up in a session. It would be interesting for you to feel into the difference, you said before, the difference that makes the difference. What is the need they need to have for you to feel okay?
Again?
What is the need you feel that they need to have for you to feel okay, like you're needed? So, because there are all kinds of needs, right? It's really interesting. Every once in a while I'm on a Constellation listserv, and the whole thing erupts in a conversation we seem to have about 3 times a year about whether we should actually be holding the framework of helping the client, or whether we should be utterly neutral about outcome. That it's part of the client's dignity about whether they get better or not, or whether they have a successful experience or not. There are people who are really strongly on the neutral end. I show up, I do my thing, the outcome is up to the client, that's it. There are people who, Dan Booth Cohen, it says, they're hiring me to fix them. I don't know what's complicated about this. I'm kind of in the middle. I think they're paying us money because we have an expertise that they need. and that we should more often than not be able to help people. If we can't, then what are we doing what we're doing? On the other hand, because all of us are in healer type stuff, it's not the same as being able to give penicillin for strep throat and be 99.9% certain that their strep throat's going to go away. There is a certain amount of leaving the outcome to the dignity of the client as well, right? But I do believe, so we're somewhere in that space. What is our responsibility? What is our obligation? And what are we in alignment with? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Next one.
I can go?
Yeah, what was that like?
Yes. I have, it's funny, for me, I put 7 cards and I forgot what was the 7th. I did one. Yes, I took note of 6. But anyway, they were, it was interesting to see the difference between them. Like the ancestors was, I got stronger and more centered, yes. And then the lineage, it gave me a little bit more flexibility.
You mean behavioral flexibility?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the meditation put me more centered. I think it's, at least from the space of time I did, it seemed that disconnect me a little bit from the client, but connect with myself.
Which is useful, yeah.
Yes. And the pets were nice because it brought a little bit more joy, yes, to what I was doing.
Which for the other constellation we did is a very useful addition, yes.
Yes.
Her business wanted to go out for a beer.
Cheers.
And she worried, when are we going to get any work done? And the business said, who says drinking beer at a bar can't be work? Yes, move that as necessary.
Thank you.
Getting too hot?
No, I just wanted to get a little further.
Toes.
Thank you.
We can all get a little closer.
No,
Is that
I need
okay?
to get
Sorry.
further away because
Oh, did that make
I'm
it
so
worse?
glad someone moved it because I was overheating.
Is
Yeah.
it better now? 'Cause
Yeah.
I feel it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So,
Catherine.
I'm sorry, what else, Anna Maria?
And then the community where I live was kind of between supportive and neutral. It was not like very big, but on the supportive side. And then the hiking was very nice. Again, with the first constellation, it came nicely because it gave me more openness, like and more.
So instead of going through each card, just some of the highlights and especially the difference between being without them and being with them.
Uh-huh.
What was that like?
Well, they all added something, for sure.
Right.
And that was very nice because they were adding in complementing, like supportive. So that was very good.
Okay. Okay.
And yes, and then when I added with the client, was the same. It almost gave more. The word it comes like expansion.
Oh, okay. It's like it takes a village
Yes,
to
yes,
do NLP.
yes. Exactly. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll just go in a line. Julie, how was it for you?
Well, normally I look forward to all the exercises.
Mhm.
This one I was kind of petulant about.
Okay.
And when we were solar client, energy didn't start shifting until I added support for the unknown future support that I could not name. Then it started to shift into an easier feeling of energy
Interesting.
that I could do this. And then I added the client's support. And then it started to feel better. But all the way up until then, I was cranky. Cranky.
And what was the flavor of cranky?
Oh, I don't want to be here, but I've got to be here because I have to show up for this individual, and I have to be the good trooper and trudge on. And,
Oh, you don't want to be here with the client. It's supposed to be here in the Rasa room right now.
no.
No.
I mean, I've been a little distracted through this today for some reason.
Well, we started out with a knock your socks off constellation. Julie
Yes.
is completely forgiven to be a little distracted.
Thank you.
Rang my bell with that one.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
You know, it's really interesting when I was, and I don't think this is strictly parallel, but when I was in my 20s, I trained to be a massage practitioner. I liked massage. I liked it a lot, but I dreaded the client showing up.
I kind of have a fair
Yeah.
amount of that going on.
And I've had it a little bit with my current practice, but I'm glad it's so much diminished compared to, you know, really wishing that they would, you know, those rare occasions when they wouldn't show up, and I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Do you remember what was it about?
I was in my 20s. I have no idea. I mean, I could speculate now, but it would take me a little bit of time to enter it. But I'm feeling the vibe of this, and you love teaching the yoga. It's not like that's what's at issue here.
And I love.
And you love the people. Yeah.
I love the people. I love teaching yoga. I love learning. I love learning more about yoga, the philosophy, other yoga teachers' perspective. Like I could spend a whole day on YouTube looking up yoga videos. My own personal practice gets kind of sketchy, and when that physical phone call happens and someone is actually showing up, then I start getting nervous. And when I get the call to say that something's come up and they can't make it, and sometimes whole classes have been canceled, I'm like this feeling of relief. Oh, yay, I get my
So-
evening back.
Can you write this question down
Yeah.
for later?
Okay.
What, and I don't know the exact way to place this question, but what's the complaint that cranky part isn't getting heard? I'm just leave that for you to meditate on later, okay?
Okay.
But that crankiness that doesn't want people to show up, is happy when they don't, there's an intended positive there that we really need to include somehow. Okay? I'm sure all of us have some version of this. Don't, you know, it may not be exactly like that, but all of us have a version of this. The place, for me, it's my spiritual practice these days, which I really want to do. And then I sit down and something and says, I don't fucking want to do this. Pourquoi? What are you so cranky about? You know, I need to spend a little time finding out why I don't want to do something I want to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. And I'm glad. And the other thing is that the other note is let's find out what that extra thing is.
Okay.
What that future support is that's not there that made it better.
Okay.
Okay. We want to explore that and find out more about that. We may do a little mini constellation and conversation or something. Okay.
All right.
Excellent. Cara.
Okay, so I feel like I share everyone's something about what everyone said. I feel like I can relate to for myself too, like this feeling cranky or nervous when someone shows up. So without the cards, the client being there, I didn't focus too much on thinking about that they were ideal. I was just kind of neutral.
Just the platonic form.
Yeah, they were just
Client.
this client, and I did feel this sense of like nervous in my belly, like a little anxiety in my chest. And for me, I've always thought that means I want to do this right. So when I first put down the card, my ancestors is what I started with, I felt just immediately better. And I really don't feel like in the individual cards were that different. One that really felt good was the lineage card.
I actually, it came to my mind with you.
Yeah.
NLP has a problematic lineage, but acupuncture has a really deep Chinese, it's just,
Right.
it's like way past being related to any one particular person.
Mhm.
It's this living thing. So I actually, it was thinking about you that I thought about, ooh, in yoga too. These lineages are really important.
Mhm. And I think what I struggle with is being a student type, like a scholarly type. I want to gather a lot of information, but then integrating it, bringing it back, and having it available feels overwhelming at times. And so, but I did really enjoy that feeling of like, oh, I'm a human to a human here. Not like, I've got to fix this for you, because when we talk about our intended goals, I really do want to get people out of pain. It's, of course, right? It's very important, but I also have that kind of Taoist training where you're a student too of mine, and I'm trying to help you get in touch with your body and learn about yourself. That's more of like the body work I do. So sometimes I'm a little confused about that too, about, am I here to fix you? No, I'm going to help you, but if I could just get this combination right, it will help you. And if I can't, I'm no good to you at all. So I have this real like black and whites about,
Yeah.
I'm either perfect or I have completely failed you. So I know that's where future work is needed, but
Well, and we've been doing that work.
right. Yeah. But I feel very confused, like all these like ideas, you know, when you just look at something and you're like, oh, I've got to do that, I've got to do that, I've got to do that, like all these facets of the different kinds of support and what you want your outcome to be and how you want to feel about your client. Like I'm just a little, whoa, right now. But doing the constellation felt great when everything was lined up and no big wows, or except for the lineage part felt stronger, but it did feel very good. And I had done this with you once before at your house. And right after, my friend gave me a bag of beautiful stones, like just like healing stones. And so you had said maybe you can put them in your pocket. So at work, not always, but I'm really trying to make that a practice before I go into with my clients, to put the stones representing the constellations in my pockets. And that when I do it, it does feel grounding, but it's a little bit of a half-baked practice at this point. And I don't know what to do for the client to represent. Maybe just, I'm sure in my room somewhere where they sit, I can figure out.
Well, and that's, I mean, why in some spaces they'll have an ancestral shrine or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that they have symbolic ways of representing support in the practice room, the treatment room. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Excellent. The other thing that you're reminding me, again, when I do this, I always think of other things as well. It's not just support. This is another conversation I was having on this Constellation listserv, is it's also about proper responsibility. So all these ones behind us, as well as the client in front of us, have lines of relationship with appropriate responsibilities. So to my lineage, there is an obligation to my lineage, a proper responsibility to be as excellent as I can. Right?
Mm-hmm.
To represent the lineage well and to pass it on, for instance. So I frame this as support, but it's also finding our proper commitments and our proper relationships with that which is around us. Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah.
As well.
That is.
And proper responsibility always feels good. If you've seen the constellations where the mom starts out going, I don't know who that is, pointing to her daughter, I've never met her, blah, blah. And then about 45 minutes in, they start going, oh my gosh, I'm the mom and I'm the grown-up here. And it feels good to the representative when this transformation starts to happen. They couldn't imagine it could feel good, but because we've readjusted something, it starts to feel good. Right? And then be grown-up. We're not talking about that. Okay, good. So we're going to do a final constellation thing. that is connected to all this and takes us a step forward. I've got too many things here, and where are my other handouts? There they are. So this handout has a front and a back. This is important. We're going to do this exercise twice. The first one your notes on the first one goes on the front. And then, well, let me explain this to you. You're basically going to do this constellation to begin with for someone else. So you can see person walking, you're going to put your name in. You can put your name in right there. That's you. We're going to be doing a timeline. That's why the word is walking. It's a timeline constellation. And then for whom, we'll just figure that out in a second, who you're going to do it for. And then there's these 5 steps. We'll get to that in a second. But as you're doing it, you're going to be writing notes for your person. For the person, so if I'm the one walking and I'm doing it for Catherine, I'm going to be stopping in certain spots. Don't worry, I'm going to explain that in a second. I'm going to write notes. And then I'm going to give this to Catherine. Okay? Mm-hmm. You're going to exchange papers, so you have the one that it was done for you, you have, and then on the back, you're going to walk it for yourself. Mm-hmm. And take notes for yourself. Okay? Do the logistics make sense for a moment? I haven't explained the content of this yet, don't worry. But do you understand the logistics of the paper?
But here you say working for your own client.
Not for your client, for someone else here, for one of your fellow students.
Yes, but this is in the back.
Oh yeah, don't read that stuff. I will explain all that.
Okay.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
Don't read anything because it won't make sense until I explain it. All I want to make sure is that what I'm talking about in terms of the first one you're going to do, you're going to write for whom, for somebody else. You're going to write notes as you go through, then you're going to hand it to that person. Whoever did it for you is going to hand theirs to you. Hopefully you can read it. Everyone try and write legibly for your other person. If anyone, I have one clipboard here. And then when you receive yours, you're going to do it for yourself. Okay? Okay. Okay, good. So here's the fine. You're going to set up a timeline. This, by the way, is one of the ways in which NLP stumbled on systemic constellations work. It's timeline work. Mm. They had the same, they explained it very differently. They call them standing anchors, for those of you in NLP, but it's representational perception is what it is. Okay, so this one, you're just going to have a line. You're going to start here, and you're going to walk in a direction. And before you start, you're going to set up 5 posts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Okay? Number 1 is, so the first time this is the experience of a client. So if I am walking, say it for Catherine. So I am walking, I'm representing Catherine's client, potential client. Okay? Ideal client. Actually, this is very important. This is ideal client in this situation. So I'm going to start moving forward. On the first step, I'm going to step into the experience, the state, the representation of Catherine's ideal client before she's gotten started with Catherine, ever heard about her, anything. Basically, in this spot, what's the heartache? What's the longing? That's what you're going to be, and I'm going to coach you a little bit in this, okay? We're going to be doing these steps all at the same time. So if you step into 1, and I notice that there's confusion, I don't know the direction, I feel ungrounded, whatever it is, you're just going to write that all down, okay? Step number 2, at the point where this client hears Catherine's name, finds out about Catherine, what are they hoping for? And I'm going to coach you on this a bit. And anything else. Finally, I can end this conflict, or whatever shows up. Okay? Now this is, again, remember, constellations are, although we're doing this linearly, are not linear. They're metaphorical and symbolic, right? But they've heard Catherine's name, someone has referred her, stumbled on the website, somehow found out about Catherine. What is the experience here? Of the ideal client, perfect fit for Catherine, okay? We move on to 3. When they choose Catherine, what's the experience here? What happens for that person? What's the experience in this spot? When they go, oh, I choose Catherine. Okay? Number 4, at the point where they are confirmed that they're being helped here with Catherine, what's that feel like? And the last one's just after the work's completed. What's that like? Anyway, I'm going to coach you on all these, so you don't have to worry about remembering any of these spots. Okay? So you're going to take notes for all of these 5 spots for someone else. You're going to write legibly, and then you're going to hand this to the person you did it for, and they're going to hand theirs to you. And then we're going to do it all over again for you and your client. I'm doing this for a reason, because I was worried that if you just did it for you and your client, your agendas would come in too strongly. So I just wanted somebody else to start out by representing this person a little bit, okay? But then yourself, and what we're particularly looking on the second round, this is crass, but we're looking for marketing language. One of the things I've been giving a lot of you feedback about is jargon, is trying to talk to your client using your language, your map of what you do, rather than the experience or the map of the client who's looking for your service and what you do. So the phrase I put on here is pungent words. Just good, strong, juicy words. Okay?
And where is that?
It's on the back side. And you'll take notes for yourself on the back page. And I'll send you all through a second time. Okay?
One
Yeah.
question. So, to avoid the danger of quick interpretation, just feelings or...
What are you experiencing is
Okay.
always, and I'll try a few other things like what do you believe here, what do you presuppose here, what's the feeling, the body feeling as well as the emotional feeling,
Okay.
that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, some of you know a lot about each other, some of you don't know much about each other, so you may have some presuppositions about someone else's ideal client. To the degree that you're able to, just try and represent and let the field give you information. That's how you can be best of service to this other person, is to try and be a receiver. Okay, so I'm just going to do this, sorry.
Just to see if I understood. So first, for example, I walk for Catherine's flight.
Yeah,
And then the second, I walk for my own flight.
exactly. Yep. And in between, you switch papers, so you can have one piece of paper to take home with the notes someone made for you, as well as the notes you made for yourself. Yeah?
All right.
Okay. So, please make your lines. Please make each spot, a couple of steps so that there's a little bit of an in-between. Everyone gets 5. I'm just going to give you a bunch. I'm not going to count them out.
I still have the one.
You have yours? Okay, good. Just need 5. And I don't know if I can do that. Then if you need to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 so you can track what you're doing, that's fine. And my apologies, I think this will help everybody if we move in the same direction, whether it's like this or like this. There's something about the future and the past all being in the same direction. And it's funny, all 3 of you chose a different direction. Okay, so we'll make this the future. We'll do this in the future. What the heck? So future, past.
Okay.
So set up your 1 towards this wall and your 5 towards that wall.
So we didn't decide who is going to
And
be
are you
Right,
assigning
right,
us?
right, right. So, do it for each other, do it for each other. Okay? Get it. I just saw pink and purple.
Yeah, we all are all looking for you.
Yes. And you're working for my Okay.
Okay, so would it help anybody who really has a bad setup to have a clipboard? Would it help you to have a clipboard?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. Thank you.
So set up your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Please put
Okay.
those on the ground. Get it set up, please.
Okay.
So Anna Maria, let's put these 5 out. I want to get it started.
I put mine too.
And I'm just noticing that these got a little
Is this
squishy.
one yours?
Okay.
Missing one?
Oh, I'm missing one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So start out and beforehand. Just step into, and I'll just touch you all. Anna Maria's ideal client, Julie's ideal client, Laura's ideal client, and Trent's ideal client. Please step on to number 1. What is the experience here before you ever hear about that person? What is your experience right here? You don't even need to think about what this represents. Are you scared? Are you terrified? Are you heartbroken? Are you frightened? Lonely? What's going on here? Things you can check to help you out. What does your body feel like? And write down anything you notice. The person for whom you're doing this, it might be interesting to them to know that you felt sick to your stomach, or you got a headache, right? The emotional state. What do you believe about yourself or the world here? Is another way to get to this. How does the world around you feel? Where's your attention is another. Where is your attention? And I want us to all do this together, so please wait on spot number 1 until I see everyone's kind of ready to move to number 2. Wrap it up in this spot. Your last note, whatever you're noticing here. And then please move to spot number 2, the moment where you hear about this practitioner. You maybe see their website. You maybe got a referral from an acquaintance. You heard them speak at an event. What is the experience in this spot? It may be exactly the same as number 1. It may be quite different. How do you feel physically, emotionally? How does the outside world feel to you? Where is your attention? These are some of the questions you can ask yourself. What do you believe about yourself or the world? Just make notes about everything you're noticing here. And wrap that up. Please don't move to number 3 on your own. I want us to do it as a group. And then please move forward onto spot number 3. This is the moment when, as the client, you choose this practitioner. You make the decision, you make the commitment. What happens here? What do you notice here? Again, is it the same or different? Where is your attention? How does your body feel? What's the emotional state? Bless you. What do you believe about yourself or the world? How does the world around you feel? Anything you notice in this place? Please wait to move until everybody's ready. Start to wrap that one up. And all together, let us move to spot number 4. At the moment where you know that this person's helping you in some way. What's it like here? How does it feel in this spot? What's it like in your body? What's it like emotionally? Where is your attention? What do you believe about yourself or the world? How does the world feel to you that's around you? Begin to wrap that up. Wait so that we can all move together. And then move on to spot number 5, the last one. This is after the work's done. What's that like? This could be a single session or it could be years of work. Doesn't really matter. How does it feel in your body? How does it feel emotionally? Where is your attention? What do you believe about yourself and the world? How does it feel to be in the world? write up your last notes on that. And then together, there's a little ritual I want you to do at the end. You step forward, off, so beyond 5, turn around, face the client. You are not the client anymore, you're you, and please bow to this practitioner's client. Just hold that for a moment. Then come on up, step out of the whole thing. Just kind of move your body and exchange notes. I'm going to invite you not to read the notes now, because I do not want you to be infected.
Yes.
So turn over the sheet. And now start at the beginning, but change lines.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, this time it's the exact same thing. I'm going to be asking very much the same questions, but what you're going to be you'll be doing kind of an extra step, which is noticing the juicy words that arise. Okay? You know, juicy words like despair or heartbroken or law. You know, I don't know what they would be. Yeah? Okay? So, you are on Maria's ideal client. Julie's ideal client, Heather's ideal client, Karen's ideal client. Please step on to number 1. This is the spot before you ever hear about this practitioner. What is the experience here? What's the need? What's the feeling? What's the longing, the heartache, whatever it is you notice here? How does it feel in your body or emotionally? Where's your attention? What do you believe about yourself or the world? What does the world feel like? What is it like to be in the world? Again, to draw that to a close. And let's move forward together on to spot number 2. The point where they hear about you. They got a referral, they saw your website, they just hear about you. What happens here? What's this like? What's it like what do you feel in your body? What do you feel emotionally? Where is your attention? What do you believe about yourself and the world? What is it like to be in the world? Take another moment to notice that. Right write anything down. And then start to wrap that spot up. Let's together move to number 3, the moment where they choose you. They've made a commitment. What's it like there? How does it feel in your body? How does it feel emotionally? What do they believe about themselves or the world? How does it feel to be in the world? Wrap this up here. And together, let's move to spot number 4, the place where they know you're helping them. What's it like there? Where's your attention? What's it feel like in your body and emotionally? What do you believe about yourself in the world? And what is it like to be in the world? What is it like to be here? Wrap that up. And then let's move together to spot number 5. After, when they're all done with whatever piece of work they've done with you. What's that like? What do you feel in your body? What do you feel emotionally? What do you believe here about yourself or the world? What's it like to be in the world? Any last thing that you noticed here? Add it on in. And then all together, let's take one more step forward. Turn around and bow to your client. And then respectfully pick up the cards. Come on back. Now, after doing that, you can peek. It's okay to peek now. More than peek, you can read. Been saving up for a rainy day there.
Yes.
So just take a second if you're feeling like you really want to read that, take a look at the other person's notes. By the way, did everyone do partnering scheduling during the break?
No, my partner was doing a consultation with you.
That's right. So if you can, briefly before you leave, can you guys do that?
Mhm.
Just, you know how it kind of doesn't happen if you don't.
Right.
So take a look at that. Anything you want to write down or something that's going in your mind that you don't want to lose because we're wrapping it up now?
Call your sister.
What?
Call your sister.
Thank you.
Thank you for your beautiful handwriting.
Oh. She's a doctor.
I train you. It's been a year on handwriting, on legibility.
This is a good time if there's something you can't read to lean over and go, what's this one? Okay, had a chance to at least skim it for once. I mean, you'll get a chance to spend a little bit more time with this. So we're at 10 of. I want to spend our time just, doing a little checkout. Mainly at this point, anything you want to share, particularly your main takeaways. As is typical, at this point, people usually have something to say about the last thing that we did. So if there's something in particular, but what are your takeaways from today? What's moving you forward? What do you want to share with the group that seems important before you leave? And because we went this way on the last one, why don't we start with the current, go that way on this one? And again, if there's something about this exercise that's particularly resonating.
I like this exercise. I think the idea of the proper responsibility seems important to me, and I would like to think about that more. Like, what are our responsibilities to our support structure, ancestors, and to our clients? I feel like I want to spend some time rereading all of my class notes and really, because I feel some confusion about things just feel up in the air about what to work on. I think because I'm just needing to spend the time and really soak in because I'm making notes to myself during the class about I want to work on with you and like things that. So I feel like I want to do a little rewriting things.
And this is a good thing to do every once in a while. We've got the tyranny of the urgent. And then we want to slow down and reflect and ask ourselves what's important about what's going on right now. Every once in a while.
So reconnecting feels good today because I feel like I've been on a break in a lot of ways for the holidays and family. So
Yeah.
like my takeaway is just a feeling of like hopeful excitement.
Anything particular about this exercise that seems useful that you or your partner discovered about your client?
And I don't know about it in particular, but it feels exciting. A very just juicy word, but to help people feel safer and calmer in this world feels good to me.
Was that something at step number 5 that they felt safer and calmer at the end?
4 and 5.
4 and 5, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Great. The other thing, just by the way, there is an off chance that you and your partner might have gotten really different information about your client. This is also interesting. It doesn't seem hugely likely, but it is possible. So it's worth noting if that happens. So Julie, how about for you?
I don't even know how to express this. Because when I walked the line for myself, I thought I was making a larger impact than what was coming across when Ana Maria walked the line. And there's nothing I was going to ask the question, well, what is there to do about it? And really nothing. I'm just kind of noticing. And
so what are you comparing, just so we know specifically what you're talking about?
I'm not even clear that I'm answering your question correctly.
No, that's all right. You're feeling like Ana Maria got an impression of you having less impact than you did when you walked the line. So I'm curious about what you're comparing in terms of the notes. I mean, concretely, what did hers say and what did yours say? Just so we know what you're coming to conclusions about.
Well, the client that I wanted was someone who wasn't particularly messed up, but just needed something, but essentially was okay. And Ana, I guess I'm kind of stuck on the words that Ana Maria wrote, confusion and small.
Before she starts, before the client starts?
Before, just finding me. And while and some stuff was going on, confusion and distraction was happening before I even walked the line for myself, so I included that in my notes. And I guess I'm interpreting Ana Maria's notes, and I don't want to hurt Ana Maria here, that as I compare it to my notes, I obviously think that I'm a bigger deal than I actually am, is what's coming across.
Well, actually, it's really interesting is that my impression, if I'm hearing what you're saying correctly, that actually Ana Maria's walk is implying a bigger impact than yours does. Because she starts out really confused and feeling small, whereas you want someone who's starting out kind of okay.
Ah, okay.
And maybe you have something to offer people who are feeling confused and small in life.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, I'd have to read the notes to be able to say for sure.
Okay.
That was important and interesting what you said, because what I felt was like that she can give more. You know, it seems that the client could receive more from her.
So I'm curious about whether actually your picture of yourself is smaller than what you actually can do. I'm just throwing something out based on very little information. And by the way, anyone who wants to scan and send these to me, or if you don't have scanning ability, you'd like to type it in, I'd be happy to look at what you've got. I obviously don't have a copy machine and I can't take iPhone, yes, take a picture. Take a picture. I forgot about that. We all have copy machines now. They're called phones. And I'm happy to look at it and give people my impressions or thoughts, or include it more thoughtfully in a conversation than we can right now, just getting little drips and drabs.
Okay.
Okay? But that's the first thought I have.
Okay.
How does it feel just to have that reflected back in that way?
Interesting. Yeah. I'm curious. Yeah.
And it is vulnerable to allow someone else to represent something for us that's important to us. Every time we have someone represent our father or our mother or our business or a client is an act of vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not an issue of criticizing someone else's representations. It's admitting it's kind of scary to let someone see that or connect or notice that and give language to it that I might not give to it. Right? So, yeah, I know Anna Maria knows this well enough to not take offense. So how about for you? What's your takeaway today? What did you notice about this exercise?
Just to add a little bit what I said, is also we have different ways to word things.
Exactly.
According to our own program.
Well, and that's why part of the theory of constellation work is that not only do we kind of mediate information as a representative, but the field chooses certain people to represent because they're going to do it in a certain kind of a way. Because we all, if you stepped into her dad and I stepped into her dad, we do it a little differently.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's, so anyway, yeah. Okay, so launch in.
It seems that we had the same, more or less the same things. Is that there are some words I don't understand that she wrote like this.
Oh, I scratched that out.
Oh, but then you put deep
And needs.
So this doesn't mean.
Oh, actually, those were like exclamations for profanities.
Oh, I see.
Swear
That
word.
the person is in
Swear word.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Is in deep.
I see.
Deep.
Yeah, because for me it was the way I put. It's similar to that, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it was like it was very deep sadness and pain, emotional pain, and oppressed by the world, like. And,
That's a good word. And you've already come up with the word diminished, which is another good word.
Yes.
But oppressed by the world is another good word. That's juicy stuff.
Yes. That one was very obvious for me. Like the way I came in was like very strong. And then the others, for her it was more, I don't know if you want to go like this, but for her it was more clear that this person is going to help me. And for me it was not so clear. Like there was something.
That may be a bit of your own ecology.
Yes. And then.
On the other hand, actually, no, I would correct that. That could be the client's experience of, because we've talked about this before, of I'm not sure anybody can help me.
Yes.
Remember that.
Yes.
That's really important language.
Yes.
Please flag that.
That is what I actually wrote here. Oh, this is one more,
Right.
It's one more.
Right.
I have to try, or something
Right.
like this.
So part of your marketing is going to be for people who are skeptical that they can be helped.
Mhm.
Now, that's always tricky, right?
Yes, I know, because some really,
But if it's your genius, it's what you got. And, you know, even skeptics are they're like, but I want help, I gotta believe
They're
there's
just
somebody.
desperate romantics. There was some show that was talking about like the worst cynics are like the most just saddened romantics because they. Or something.
There's nothing like a disillusioned idealist. I know because I come from a long line of them.
dissolution what?
Disillusioned idealists. People who are idealists, but it didn't work.
Oh.
It's like you go off to do missionary work, which is a very idealistic thing, and then discover you're just another colonial. And that's, those are my people. Anything else from the day?
Oh, from today. Oh, I like both very much, both constellations, and very nice. The first one, you know, like for, like you said, we can do even for our when we are working. Yes, so that's very very helpful, and also I like the way you put supporting. Really include many things that I never thought of.
Okay. And over here?
Okay, so I just wanted to point out that we're all in some level.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, mine's kind of underneath here.
And the tablecloth too.
And the
And the
bulletin
blocks.
supports.
Zero behind you in the zero. Anyway.
Yes,
That's what I checked.
it's funny to see it there on the computer too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So coordinated.
Yes.
I like exercises that work towards copy, unique copy. It's such a tricky area.
It is hard. I'm struggling with it myself.
Yeah, I
right
like
now.
I write it, it feels right, and then I'll look at it and go, ugh. You know, like I'm looking at the one-page site, and I'm really good about not like just geeking out on it for an hour, just letting it be. I already geeked out on it a lot in the past, and now it's like, oh, it's too going away. I want it to be more towards I appreciate the attention on that, and I feel like I want to do this again.
Oh, good.
I don't feel very present. I got this stuff at the forefront.
Yeah. Yeah, going back and forth to the phone, I don't know if that's related to it or not.
That's just related to getting my internet back on.
Oh, okay.
We just AT&T. That's the least of it. I feel powerful over there. But that's urgent, of course.
Yeah.
But maybe a blessing in disguise. Maybe it's like, okay, no internet. I get to clean them, organize, and get rid.
Is it something related to something we kicked up today, or is it something you just
No.
brought in the room?
No, write it all in all by myself.
Okay.
It's been with me for.
You want to say a word about it?
Well, I moved towards support and called up, made a request to get support for getting information around debt.
Oh, okay.
And I'm considering, the word is BK, I'm considering major BK. It's a
Yeah.
big deal. And then Keith came back last night from a first weekend of Hollow 2, which was like a blessing. It's just like removing entities and like, you know, like maybe we need to do this every day until it's installed.
So Heath is her housemate,
My domestic partner.
domestic partner. It's an interesting arrangement, but a good person in Catherine's life. And is doing some advanced work. Yeah. So he did a little entity releasing for
It was
you.
hilarious because part of me is like, you're right, you know, like I was like,
Yeah, that stuff I'm fairly agnostic on myself.
just have a hard time with it. But I gotta say, I felt kind of better after. So, you know.
So just between you and me, I only go to entity stuff if I absolutely have to. And then when you absolutely have to, you do.
Yeah, well, he says, if you don't believe it, just look at it as parts work. I'm like, okay, it's all parts work. To some degree.
So not to get out of NLP land jargon. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. It's interesting, I've been thinking a lot lately about when life forces you to make a change. I may have told you this story before, it's not exactly the same, but it's similar. I had a client who did this last spring and could not get him into movement. We did tons of healing work, savagely abused by his father, tons and tons and tons of healing work, could not get him into movement. He had a full-time job that he hated, but he felt like he couldn't do anything about it because he couldn't get moving on his business. So about a month ago, he wrote me and said, my website's up, I wanted to share that with you. And I said, dude, you're in action, what happened? What's going on? And he said, I got fired. Which I'm sure was terrifying. But it allowed something to start to move, that as long as he stayed with the safe thing, wouldn't move. So many people experience this as painful and difficult as it is. It's a detaching from something or letting go of something that is very, very difficult, but I hope that it turns out to be that for you. And that you look back and you say, thank God for the DK.
What is a DK?
Sorry, bankruptcy.
Oh.
Which, by the way, is also way less rare than we tend to think it is.
What's way less?
Bankruptcy. I mean, doing bankruptcy is like lots of really ordinary people do it. It used to be rare and unusual, and only for extreme circumstances. And I know there's a lot wrapped up in there. Okay, so we are at 2:09. I really do want to ask you guys to connect about partnering, at least either set up dates or decide how you're going to connect with each other about stuff. And we'll let Jen and Stephanie deal with that on their own time. So your partners are here in the room. And I think you two had already decided, so it sounds like Julian Carr.
We haven't yet.
Partner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shall we?
Should we look at a date?
Yeah.
And by the way, when is our next class? Is it in